Hello everyone, my name is Zenitsu and I'm back with another Digimon spoilers video. So today we got the first card shown from the 5th Japanese booster for the Digimon TCG, which is going to be called Battle of Omega, and oh boy, this is a really spicy spoiler. So going into the card, we have Hexablaumon. So Hexablaumon is looking to be a really powerful level 6 for blue. So stat line and stat wise, he's not doing anything too special there, but he does have two really powerful abilities. So his first ability is a when attacking ability, where you get to discard 2 evolution sources from the bottom of one of the opponent's Digimon, and then if the opponent has any Digimon with no Digivolution sources, then this card gains jamming until the end of the turn. So this is just a really powerful ability because it's not hard to get them to have a Digimon with no evolution sources. And then the fact that he's going to have jamming on top of removing 2 evolution sources just is really powerful because jamming just allows him to safely swing into the opponent's security. Without jamming, he would have a relatively hard time living through some potential security checks, especially since a blue doesn't really have the most efficient ways of buffing the DP of a lot of their Digimon. They kind of just rely on this jamming ability to have their Digimon live through security checks. So he is just looking to be really powerful just for that ability alone. And then on top of that, he has an even stronger ability. So his other ability is during both players' turns, your opponent's Digimon can't attack or block if they don't have any evolution sources. So this is just really powerful because essentially he is trying to just remove all of the evolution sources on the opponent's field, and then their Digimon just basically won't be able to do anything while he is on the field. And then pair that up with the fact that he's going to have jamming when he attacks, just means that he is just trying to lock the opponent's field down, so that way he could just safely swing at the opponent's security. So there are a couple of big weaknesses to this card and his ability. So the first big thing is if the opponent is able to Digivolve, then they are able to attack or block with that Digimon again. So that is just one thing to note is if you just have Digimon sitting on the field and you're able to Digivolve up into them, then you could still utilize the Digimon on the field, even though before they were locked down because they couldn't do anything. So that is just one big thing to note with the card. And then another big thing is he does have only 11,000 DP, and blue, again, doesn't exactly have the best ways of boosting it, so there are plenty of removal effects that would be able to target him, so that way they are able to destroy him, so that way they could start utilizing their cards again. So while he is a very powerful card and his ability is very powerful, he does have his own drawbacks or weaknesses, and again, another one is just the fact that he needs to attack in order to get jamming, and in order to remove the opponent's evolution sources. So he's going to be in a rested position, so again, if you just Digivolve up into a Digimon that can beat him up, then that is just one way of also removing him. So there's just a ton of different ways that players have options in order to remove him in case he is too, in quotation marks, problematic for the field. So what the card does do, again, is he does help shut down those types of strategies where they rely on their Digimon not really having a whole lot of evolution sources. So Rookie Rush and Mega Zoo are the two big things that this card does hurt quite a lot. Even though both of those decks do some evolving, they don't do a whole lot, and the options in which they generally play to try to deal with the board are very limited. So he does hinder some of those decks, but those decks should be able to adapt well enough to be able to handle him because, again, blue also doesn't have super great removal effects. So if you literally just have a whole line of rookies and then you just evolve all of them for one into champions, then you should just be able to swing right away, and blue can't really do much about that. And then with Mega Zoo, you just Digivolve up into your level 7s, and basically same thing. But Mega Zoo also would have a whole bunch of very powerful on-play effects that probably would have already been able to handle this card. So he's not God tier insane, he's just a very powerful card, and I really like the card because he's making the whole attacking the evolution sources strategy very viable. So if we take a look at in the past to see what they've done with attacking the evolution sources, we could see that like the options that they had really didn't give them a whole lot of like powerhouse megas to go off of. So like Saberleomon just allows you to just destroy all of the Digivolution sources off of one of the opponents. And while that's really, really powerful, he doesn't really have good stats and he doesn't really have a good payoff for doing so. So it's just like, yeah, this strategy didn't really start doing anything. And then we got Metal Seadramon, which Metal Seadramon gave Metal Seadramon unblockable. But again, like, that's not a super huge payout because the stats are relatively low. He doesn't have jamming to protect himself from security checks, and Blue, again, doesn't really have the best ways to DP boost. So Metal Seadramon just felt also very, very awkward to play, and the unblockable, while it's kind of nice, it's also kind of useless because, again, he just doesn't really have a good way of protecting himself. And then we get something like Vikman, which Vikman was the first like actual payout card to this strategy, where Vikman, if the opponent has no Digivolution sources, he gets a plus 1000 DP and security attack +1. He does cost 4 to evolve though, but he is the closest thing that that type of deck or that type of strategy has to a payout, and he is still a very, very good card to run for the deck just because he does protect himself a little bit by having naturally higher DP, plus he DP boosts himself, and then the security attack +1 allows you to just hit more security to deal more damage, because usually Blue's whole big gimmick is they like to multi-attack, and it definitely looks like this deck, it doesn't really have that multi-attacking strategy, but regardless, like Vikman was the closest thing that we had to a payout card for the strategy, and even then, it wasn't super huge of a payout. Then we also got cards like Shakomon. So Shakomon just lets them have minus security attack 1, which I think this card now you just don't really need to run Shakomon. Or if you do running Shakomon, then that's just an interesting choice to try to like lock them out on the ultimate level and then continue to lock them out on the mega level. So, like, there could be some synergy and strategy there. I just think that the type of payout that they're looking for in this strategy might be a little bit harder because it requires you to actually attack. Because for the most part, removing the evolution sources requires you to attack, and you don't exactly want to attack with Shakomon, but you could attack with Hexablaumon. And then we also got Regulicusmon. So Regulicusmon is also another really good card for that strategy. This feels more like an engine card rather than a payout card, where he has the when attacking ability of just getting rid of 1, and then if you do, then you get to draw 1 card and gain 1 memory. So the deck definitely was trying to like formulate and form itself. It just didn't really have a big unifying like card or big payout card outside of Vikman to really incentivize the strategy. But now after what 5 sets, they finally get a second card to really start to unify the strategy and really be a powerful presence to be played with. But again, he does have his own weaknesses and he does have his own strengths. And on top of which, he just is making that strategy a lot more viable, whereas before it really wasn't. So I don't necessarily think he exactly needed the jamming personally, but I see why that they would want to put the jamming on to really incentivize you wanting to attack, so that way you could utilize the card to the best of his abilities, and I don't necessarily fault that. I just felt like maybe they could have done something a little bit different other than jamming, but Blue's also big on jamming, so it just kind of makes sense. But in terms of what this card is meaning for the game, because we are now going to start getting spoilers for BT05 or Battle of Omega, I don't exactly know what the English translation of the name is going to be, so I'm just going to refer to it as BT05. But with set 5 finally getting spoiled, and we have our first card, we could start to infer some other cards that are going to be in the set. So we probably are going to end up getting his evolution line. So Baluchomon is probably going to end up making it into the set, and that's going to be his level 3. Then we have Paledramon, which is going to be his level 4. And then we have Chris Paledramon as the level 5. And then we could probably take a look at his attacks and infer that one of those attacks is going to end up being an option card. So the option card, I don't exactly know what it's going to be, because it could be just continuously attacking the evolution sources, or it could be some sort of form of removal or stun. Just whatever it's going to be, we could probably guess that one of his attacks is going to make it in as one of the option cards in the game. But I definitely think that this is a really, really powerful card, and I think that the type of strategy that he enforces with attacking the evolution sources really needed a big buff in order to be more competitively viable, and this definitely is going to do that job. So that's kind of all I really have for this video. As always, feel free to tell me your thoughts down in the comments below. And as always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content, and I'll see you in the next video.